Girl, it's what I heard. Allegedly, it's just the word. Allegedly, it's on the street. Allegedly, I say to the beat. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly. Allegedly, it's just the word allegedly. It's what I heard allegedly. It's on the street allegedly. I sing to the beat allegedly. Allegedly, allegedly, it's what I heard allegedly. It's just the word allegedly. Don't blame, don't sue allegedly. It won't help you allegedly. Allegedly. Hello, hello, how are we doing? Oh, my green screen is falling over, but that's okay. I got my first shipment of paper towels. The place is getting a little less necky boo. And I hope all of you are doing very well this evening. Bronx has been cheering me up about my computer. He could tell I was very sad, and so he's been giving me extra attention, thank goodness. But something else has my attention, thank goodness. We have to talk about our girls. Our girls. We got to talk about Garcel. We got to talk about Nene, ooh, girl. And we got to talk about Kenya. So the door is open. The link is up there. I want everyone to come in and let's help plan their lives after Bravo. Because, child, I just watched Nene Leakes' talk show. I needed some water because it was so dry. Oh, I didn't know. It gave me dry mouth. My mouth is dry. Their conversation was so dry. Girl, I made it 36 minutes in to an hour interview. I couldn't do it anymore. It was Latasha Scott and Nene Leakes. And child, at the 28-minute mark, they went back to diet. Now, we started off talking about her and, oh, you're so tiny. And then we get into the diet stuff. And it's like, okay, that's a great way to start an interview. But then y'all ran out of things to talk about 36 minutes in, and you went back to her being a new vegan. Why would you have Latasha on? Just so you could throw some low-key shaded candy. She did manage to throw a little low-key shaded candy. Oh, well, can you dance? Because Candy can't dance. Candy can't dance. It's like, Candy is producing a Broadway show. She don't need to worry about her two-step at this juncture in her life. She doesn't. I was disappointed. I was disheartened. And I don't want to watch anymore. Nene, a talk show is not for you. A podcast is not for you. Nene is interesting. Like, she has entertained us for years. But this was depressing. It was depressing. It made me scared for my own future. I'm going to go on and say, I was like, well, shit, am I able to transition?
Hey, Alex.
I'm going to be real. I'm going to be 150% real with y'all. This is why I'm here getting my real estate license. So I have something other than this. Because if Housewives goes away, what the hell y'all go? Well, I still have Hot Topics and talent, but I can also sell house.
Alex, good evening. Did we not just have this conversation the other week when I talked about some of these housewives are straight lazy and they think YouTube is a joke and it's like a fallback and they don't realize YouTube is a job. That's work.
Can you say that again?
YouTube is a job. It is work. It is not
One more time. One more time. I need somebody else to say it, because if I say it, I'm fucked up. I need to thank you. You don't know you're speaking to my soul right now. I needed to hear it.
YouTube is a job. I have had numerous people say, "Oh, you're so funny. You're so funny at work. You're so funny on YouTube. You should do a channel." I said, "Oh, no, baby. That is not my wheelhouse." I said, because my boy Alexander Rodgers throughout the years has let me know you got to have, first of all, a certain type of personality. You also have to have a certain type of work ethic and a business ethic. Because I distinctly remember, and I can say this about Alexander Diane Rodgers, the sponsors that you have had over the years, Alexander has never uttered the word, "Please hit like." He's never uttered those words, because as you told me, you keep your business out the street and you keep your business. Now doing your fundraisers for certain things, that's different. But you've never like just begged on this channel. You keep it interesting. I go all the way back to tell that heifer you hate.
And I'll tell you this, I feel free to put up a little something. I have been doing this for over 10 years. I have over 3,000 videos. I don't know how many hours of content. If we added it up, we can pass the hat a couple times, and it ain't never gonna be equal. It ain't never gonna be equal.
Here's the thing.
Y'all also know YouTube does not pay black creators like they pay white creators. If I was a white creator, I wouldn't have to ask y'all for shit.
Yeah,
that's true. Again. If I was a white creator, and that's why I feel free to ask, because if I was a white creator, I wouldn't have to ask for shit. YouTube would be paying me and promoting my videos as they should.
Yes, and the thing that kills me, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, about people like Nene, I'm gonna even put Kenya in the thing too, is that you were basically given the keys to the kingdom. I told you how years ago I met Nene with Greg at a VIP. She was cool, fabulous. I was like, okay, I can see this. Remember when she got the show, and I liked the show she was on, and she was good on it, and she got the big head, like she didn't know nobody anymore. She didn't know anybody on the Real Housewives. You had a store, you had a nightclub. You were supposed to be setting yourself up for the future. You were getting parts on Broadway. You were asking to MC shows. You were at the top of the mountain, to where the other people on Bravo, when they complained about racism in Bravo, you could have been the one to lead the charge and they would have listened to you. But you were straight up the leopard eats my face analogy. You didn't care as long as it didn't affect you. And then when you decided that you got mad because how dare Bravo give you a friend role and a lower contract, even though you weren't doing anything, you decided to sue the network. You had nothing to fall back on. You get on YouTube, which automatically people are going to watch you. I never saw the first episode. It became a running joke of when the second episode was going to come. And then out of all the people to have on your second episode, you have Latasha Scott. So it's like two liars sitting in a chair lying to each other. The running joke that I have been seeing on YouTube is that YouTubers are telling the public, don't watch it. They can't get their minutes back. And it's just, the thing was, you didn't even think to get training. It's like, Nene, you could have got training, to do this. And I think the problem is a lot of these reality show people, they think their personality is just enough. That was cute 15 something years ago when reality TV was kind of popping. That's not the same thing anymore.
It's not like, and the thing is, you have to plan to evolve. Like Candy was on the whole time growing business after business. And I remember, Nene, you also were trying to do something. You had Tags Boutique and other things going on for yourself, but I have to agree with you. You got lazy or you got confused as to what the mission was, because then when Hollywood hung up the phone on you hard, and they did, you for like, you acted like you didn't want to be on Housewives anymore, which was your cash cow. You ruined your attitude. and and then what next? Like, there was no, you had these businesses, but you weren't committed to them. You just expected people to just walk in hand over fist giving you money, $40 for parking in Atlanta.
Yes, but you got to remember, Alex, and I'm not shading her on being a stripper, but she married Greg, was trying to do some acting, never really took any real acting lessons, had a scene in the Fighting Temptations movie that got put on the cutting room floor. You get on Housewives and you went back to doing nothing.
Oh, and a great one, Kia. Why would her first YouTube be with Carlos King, who we can see all the time? Because Carlos, quiet as it kept, got all of her interviews. Carlos has interviewed everybody on Black reality TV that's kind of relevant. Like, he's pretty much hit everybody up. So Nene doesn't even have anybody new to talk to.
Yep. Hi, Alex. Hi, Bougie. I just wanted to say, I'm going to say the hard thing. Nene just does not have it. Outside of the snappy one-liners and the cute little hey, all of that little snappy finger stuff, she just doesn't have it. She doesn't have business acumen. Like you said, with Tags and the Lenithia Lounge, those things have gone, the way of the dodo bird. You know what I mean? So she just doesn't have it. And I think she's finding out that hard lesson because she looks at YouTube videos and thinks that what you guys do is easy, and it's not anything easy. I know you guys put a lot of hard work and effort into the things that you do, and these reality stars think that they can just get behind a mic and their quote unquote glowing personality is going to carry them all the way to further success. Nene will never see the success that she's seen in the first beginning seasons of Real Housewives of Atlanta. She'll never see that success again because she just doesn't have it.
And did she lose it, or does she only have it with an ensemble cast?
Like Carlos said, well, Funky said that Carlos said this, so allegedly, that she only thrives in conflict. And I think Kenya has that same problem that they only thrive in conflict. If they're not a part of other people and, being the center of the drama, that because that's where all the snappy one liners come from. What do we remember most about Nene? Puerto Rico, Lindsay Lohan, Daddy, what you doing here? All of that stuff. Like, all of those things are all derived from conflict. So she doesn't have anything outside of that.
Let's look at the childhood and LL Shady Gal, you and your darn avatars. You always have me hollering.
What did I do?
Kenya.
Miss Vanessa, let's look at the childhood. Go ahead, Alex. I was gonna say, look at Nene and Kenya's childhood.
Exactly. Exactly. And Kenya's mother wound just shows up everywhere. It just shows up everywhere. And it's so unfortunate, that they've gotten of an age and they're still literally behaving the same way. I just don't understand it, especially Kenya. I mean, she thought it was 2011 and now she sees that society has evolved and those same little cute tricks that you could have done back in season 7, 6, it's not going to hit the same anymore. So I don't know what she's going to do.
But can I say this? I just find it really hard to believe that a producer, because there's producers that follow these women around, right? A producer saw her go to Kinko's, print this stuff, and was like, yeah, girl, you better get her.
But Shady Gal, see, people have been speculating that. I have a feeling, because remember, I have a feeling she had those boards, but she did not show those boards. That production company is not that crazy to knowingly let her do that, because the way Benadryl can sue her and sue the production company is crazy. The thing that gets me about Kenya is all this stuff about insurance fraud is coming out, okay, about Miss Britt. And apparently she had one, and she had insurance fraud HO on it. And I think that if she would have just focused on that, but the bigger issue is, why is Kenya operating just like Porsha in this land, in this atmosphere of scarcity? Like, Kenya, we know you stacked your money. Why would you use your event to shade a housewife that ain't been on there for 5 minutes, that probably wouldn't even be back on next season? That was kind of like the deeper issue.
But see, that's my point.
And that's my main point. That's my main point. She sabotaged herself terribly, terribly. It's like she loves sticking her foot in her own mouth. It's like she just loves to do that.
I am on my white man with Kenya and Britt. I'm done with both of them. I'm Andy Cohen done with both of them. I am done. Britt, you were wrong for bringing up a gun. Kenya, you were wrong for doing what they both need to go. They both needed to go, and they should have had 2 other heifers ready to recast. And the truth is, y'all did not need Kenya. Like, Kenya's season had been over. It had been over. I don't know why y'all were trying to. I know why, because the New York reboot went so bad. It went so horrible. They were like, okay, we got to have half and half because people want to see the old people. But we needed to just move on from them. When Candy left, they all needed to go. I don't think we need to see Porsha. I don't want to see.
No, we don't.
Porsha is acting 28 at 44. I don't need that.
Yeah. But see,
remember, I have one thing to say. I think one of the reasons, I think you just hit it. They decided to keep Kenya because they were bringing Porsha back. And I think they were expecting Kenya to do what Kelly has been doing and keep that foot on Porsha's neck about stealing that woman's husband. Like, that's what they expected Kenya to do. And to be fair, we seen Kenya do it with the Bolo situation. And one of the main reasons Porsha went running is because she didn't want to face having to deal with that. Yeah. She thought she was going to skate by free.
And remember, Bravo signed Porsha back thinking she was still going to be married to Simon.
Right.
Remember, Porsha knew I think what they say, she has signed them divorce papers a couple of days after she signed her Bravo contract.
Yep.
So the whole thing, and it's because I'm like the panel, get rid of both of them, because I'm sitting here looking at Kenya like, why couldn't you do like Karen did on Potomac? Go to HR. Because the girl
who's to say she didn't.
But Funky made a really good point. And he said, those girls have the ear of the network, especially Kenya. But we all know production hasn't seen it for Kenya. And Alex has made this point 1,000 times. Production has not seen it for Kenya since she got married off camera. So, in Essential, they allowed her to just hilarious herself. That's the way that I've been describing it. So the same way that Just Hilarious went live and, spilled all the tea about the Breakfast Club, Kenya showing those photos and then, subsequently getting put off the show, she gave herself her own exit papers. That's why I said she likes to put her foot in her mouth. So,
I like to say this. Let me know that Kenya probably actually did go to production and did go to higher ups. There may have been an investigation about the gun allegations that Britt said. Is when Andy Cohen talks about the situation, said there was an alleged threat. No, Andy, watch the video. That girl said she had a pistol in the whip waiting on Kenya twice. This is no allegedly. We got it on camera.
But they don't care. That's the whole point. They don't care. They don't care about Kenya. Yeah, they don't care about Kenya. But again, she shot herself in the foot. There's no other way to say it, by giving them the ammunition to get rid of her. Because if it didn't happen this way, it would have happened another way. That's the whole thing about it. They were trying to get rid of her. she just allowed them, gave them the ammunition to get rid of her. That's what she did.
And Kenya should have
Essentially.
done the salon years ago.
This probably would have been her last season.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Bougie, so right. The time for her to cash in on her peak Housewives fame was when you got back with Mark and you had Brooklyn. That was the time to open brick and mortar. That was
Right.
the time to cash in where people would have been like, ooh, let's go to the hair spa and see Kenya.
She may have
And
been
that's
too
where
busy trying
her
to keep his restaurant going because Mark just declared bankruptcy, allegedly.
Right.
Over those restaurants. I think that's when she got through, when she realized how much money he was draining. That was a lot of money to have to drain out to your sperm donor to keep him afloat. And this was before the pandemic.
And speaking of sperm donor, some of these women just need to realize, just go on and do like Ebony K. Williams. Go on to the sperm bank. If you really want the baby, I know you want the whole, the husband and everything. Just go on to the sperm bank. Just go on to the sperm bank, and you wouldn't have all this drama.
I just hate the fact that I'm sorry. I just really hate the fact that we're really watching the Love and Hip Hop
and costly drama at that. It's a paycheck. Like he's getting a full paycheck.
Did anybody see part 3 of the Beverly Hills reunion where Garcel just crashed out?
Well,
I think reality TV as a whole has an issue. Everything has become so dark and right.
I haven't looked at it yet. I just looked at Kempire on the way home. And there's been some clips on YouTube. And even Kempire said they didn't even need a part 3. But the way they discussed it, I'm sitting here like, I'm sorry. I have to agree with Kyle. And I disagree with Kempire. Garcel, really? This is what got you all upset? You've been skating for 5 years, ma'am.
And we're gonna say it, like, you were the one that had the difficult conversations that you were the one that had to have. That I honor and I respect. But other than that, you skated on this show. And part of it was they were all afraid to it with the black girl because they didn't want to look racist. And Dorit kind of fell into that trap. And so, and you would say things like, well, if it has a racial undertone, that's on you. So, and the thing is, that's perfectly fine. And while you were able to have that ammunition, well, you were able to have that shield, you worked that shield. But this season, there was another black girl, so that protection evaporated. Evaporated. Dorit and both were friends, so now it's like, oh, okay, we can see, like, no, you and Garcel just didn't get along because you're two different people, not because Garcel's black. You just didn't get along. And
Garcel could not handle the heat. She could not handle the heat. When it got turned up, she turned tail.
Yeah.
But when haven't they all done that? That's my thing. When has Kyle ever been held accountable? When has, like, any of the Fox 4-5 ever been held to the fire and stood there?
Well, I mean, they went after Erika. We could say Erika was part of Fox Force 5, and they went after her.
Erika, she was a 10 digger. She wasn't even a gold digger, 10 digger. That baby had fool's gold. That's why she broke now living in somebody's pool house.
It ended up being.
Now listen. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying it ended up being fool's gold because she made the major mistake. I have some friends that are married to wealthy men. They have side hustles, their own businesses. Even besides having a good prenup, they still have things that they're doing as a just in case. I mean, look at Sutton. Sutton's getting the money from the ex, and I tell people she deserves every penny of it because her husband, they started out together working in corporate America. When he started getting money, he wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom. And luckily, he did provide her with money, but she had to hire a forensic accountant to make sure she was getting hers. Erika thought playing around in clothes, cosplaying as Liza Minnelli and it was gonna last forever, and it didn't. And she really should just sat up there and said the other season, look, I'm under legal stuff, I can't talk about it. But all the dramatics, and I don't care about the other people, and blah 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 blah. And just to see how far she's fallen, it's just like I say, the whole Housewives thing, I think we're just kind of old and tired of it, because in real life,
Right.
we wouldn't be friends with any of these people for this long. In real life, people would have had lawsuits and gotten arrested. And, you know, it's just old. Hey, Dale.
And that was the thing with Garcelle, speaking of
God.
lawsuits. I cannot understand how she's like, I stood up for what I felt like. I felt like she was really I've only seen white women do that. I have only seen
She
white
chose
women
the wrong hill to die on. Yeah, that was the
do
wrong hill.
something destructive as that statement was, because that is accusing someone of a crime, point blank, period. And
Let's talk about
what's the big problem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excuse me, Alex. Let's talk about, nobody talks about this, because I remember this way before she got on the show. And I agree with Kyle. Garcelle, this ain't nothing. None of those white women brought up the fact that when your husband cheated on you, you sent out a mass email to everybody in his industry talking about the cheating. Then you turned around and posed nude in Playboy a few months later. No one talked about that.
So can we talk about the? Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hi,
Hey,
Mel.
Mel.
How you doing? How you doing? You know what? I just want to just add another little point of view to it, because everything that you just said, Bougie, and everything that y'all was saying is correct. I feel like as a viewer, I want all these shows have a rhythm to it. They have a rhythm to it. And that was why I was so frustrated with Garcelle and Potomac, without going too deep, where she had an issue with Wendy. Wendy told her off, and then when she came back the next season, she didn't want to shake her hand. She didn't want to do that stuff that all the housewife shows do. And when they don't do that, it kind of throws off. It's like, wait a minute, we have an unwritten agreement that when we go toe to toe in one season, we have a reunion, and if you're lucky to come back, if both parties are lucky to come back the next season, for some reason, it happens everywhere, they shaking hands and they start fresh again. That is the rhythm of these shows. So when the person don't do that, it throws up, because that's just sort of like an agreement. So now we go to Beverly Hills. Okay. I don't think none of the women are perfect, but this is what I see. I don't think that in any shape, form, or way that Garcelle has ever been as savage or as messy or as destructive as Lisa Rinna has been, saying that people's family could have been near dead, saying that people were doing drugs allegedly in people's bathrooms. I mean, it was saying so many things about people's stuff. And I mind you, what I just said, when she said it about these other women, they the next season, I think Dorit just had a little moment on people.com a couple of weeks ago. She said, you know what? She did say that people in my family, people was in my bathroom using drugs. And since that moment, I've never even brought it up again. We became the closest of friends. I'm like, wait a minute. She said, that's true. She said, we never brought it up again. Now, that has not been the same situation that happened with Garcelle. Garcelle came onto the show. Now, she worked with white women all her life, all her career. A beautiful black woman in the 80s and 60s and, the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that, in acting and modeling. You worked with everybody. She had a whole, group of women that she was friends with. Denise Richards.
She was friends with Denise, and she knew Rinna.
So the thing is, with me, it wasn't about race. It was just that she was curious about stuff and she'd ask them questions. So now, as a viewer, what I call foul on with the ladies on the show is, hey, wait a minute, y'all not playing by the rules that y'all play by with other people. When y'all start saying things about each other, you have a restart. You do that every single time. But the thing that's been frustrating for me as a viewer is you have not done that with Garcelle. You will bring back things up. Well, we felt uncomfortable 2-3 years ago, but you don't show this, you don't show that. If you're not playing by the same rules you do with other people, whether you can say the most craziest things, and then all of a sudden y'all say y'all sisters now, at least y'all are with other people. You're not that way with Garcelle. That throws it off, and that's why she left. If they made an inkling, like, we couldn't stand you this season, and you said things that was upsetting, but guess what, girl? We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna give the same treatment we gave Lisa Rinna. Okay, she called us drug addicts. She said our family were dying. She said everything, but we now she's our sister. We're gonna do the same thing for you. And that's as a viewer, I'm frustrated about, because that's the game. That's the rule of the game. That's how they play the game on that show and all these shows. So I feel the same issue with Giselle, as when it came to Wendy in that situation. I feel the same with those ladies over there. You're not playing by the rules that you do with other people. Y'all not women enough and strong enough to go, okay, why am I not doing the same thing with Garcelle? Why I've done this 100 times with everybody else. Why am I uncomfortable with Garcelle being on the show? And that
Well,
was
I will say, I
So
think,
I don't want to.
wait,
Oh,
hold on.
oh, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I want to say part of it is Jamie's statement that Garcelle was never really accepted by Kyle, Dorit, and Erika. And that's because Garcelle came on and didn't kiss the ring. Like when you go on that show, you're supposed to kiss Kyle's ass. That's how they want it to go. And Garcelle's like, I'm not doing that. I'm my own star. But then you have to deal with, okay, now I'm not in the inner sanctum.
I feel okay, but Alex, and what I push back a little bit with you about is that we have to remember when Garcelle got there. Also, she was the first Black woman. And I think that for me, what was the reason they didn't accept her, in my opinion, was maybe not about racism, but more about them being emotionally. They weren't accountable to their emotions, to their deep biases. To be honest with you, because I think Lisa Rinna said in passing, I'm not sure how this show is going to work with a Black woman up here. She didn't own it at the reunion. We have this stupid lady Camille coming out this season before the show even premiered this year. Is a show being to, well, girl, are you stupid? Really? Is a show because we got Bose and we got Garcelle up there. Stop it, Camille. Just stop it. So that's what the ladies would. They not owning that. So now you got these women up here, and then you uncomfortable. And now Garcelle's asking questions that she asked other people she's worked with for 20 years in Hollywood. But these heifers, honey, on this show, they weren't women enough to really go, you know what? I do feel uncomfortable. I don't know what to ask, whatever. They just go, you know what? You're too quiet. You're too sneaky. Girl, no. Y'all were uncomfortable because she was a Black woman and you didn't know how to work with her. Now, I'm not sure what people are up here, but I'm a gay Black man. Have I gone to offices where people didn't know how to be with a? Now I'm no shade to anybody. I'm not like outside and doing twirling or whatever. It is what it is. But I'm not accountable in my office for the LGBT community. If you're uncomfortable, it's not my business. But you know what? That's just going to be your problem. And Garcelle made those people uncomfortable because they were not accountable for their biases. That was what would happen. And every time she brought up something, she wasn't doing the race card. She was saying, excuse my French, everybody, you bitches are making me feel uncomfortable, you see, because every time I do something, you have a bias going on here. And then also this thing about Cal, you're grilling Denise Richards about a possible stupid rumor from a woman with a lopsided face, honey. That Brandy, she messed up herself with her damn evil ways. But now when it comes to you and what you were doing outside your marriage, the same thing, lesbianism is not I can't talk about it. Stop it. Mm-hmm. These women, you know what, Alex, they got these, forgive my French again. I'm not going to say the B word. I'm not going to, because I saw the reunion. I was very angry. These women got on my last nerve. They got on my very last nerve, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think
I just wanted Garcelle to defend herself more. She doesn't owe them that, but at the same time, you know what I mean? Just to kind of, all that frustration that she had when she went back to, their little dressing room area and all of the swearing and everything that she did. I wanted some of that fire to at least come out on the stage. She needed to release some of that and give them some of that. But I also understand the other side of Garcelle's brand where she wants to carry herself with a level of dignity and grace, which she always has. So I can understand both sides. Now, to your point about the, white women being uncomfortable, that can always be a double-edged sword. Now, you see how we pointed out all of the Dorit's microaggressions and all of those things. It made it really awkward for them to know how to engage with Garcelle because they don't want to come across, you know what I mean, as, oh, we're doing something to be microaggressive. And of course, we want people to educate themselves and learn and grow and all of those things. But this is reality TV. So there's only but so much that they're really going to do. And I can see where you said, it puts a glaring mirror in front of Kyle and the other ladies to where they can see that they have those biases. But are they really going to correct them for one person on the show? No, they're not going to do that. That's just not realistic for them in their mind. So
Yeah.
don't take it that I'm taking up for them, but it's
No,
just unrealistic to think that they're going to have, come to Jesus moment about all of their, biases and things that they have about Black women. That's
You know,
not going to happen. I don't think that's realistic.
And
Yeah.
I, and you know what? And I love that you said that because I was just talking to one of my wonderful lady friends yesterday, and I said that was Miss Finesse. That was a sad part for me because you know
Hmm.
what I know, what I think the future is going to hold. And I say to these women, they miss out on an opportunity. They miss out, and I love your point. That cast, they miss out on a golden opportunity to expand themselves. They won't get that in no shade to Bose, honey. They won't. They didn't get it with Anna Marie because she's a different type of black woman. No shade to her,
Right.
and they're not going to get it with Bose either. But they did have it with Garcelle. To your point, and I think to the show gets canceled, they'll never have it again. And that for me as a black man, I can't support that because y'all
But
had an
they're
opportunity.
very rich and insulated. So, you know what I mean? They only know what they know. And like I said, I'm not taking up for them. Don't
Yeah.
take it that way at all because I
Mhm.
understand your point completely because I'm black and I work in corporate America. So
Yeah.
I already know what time it is. But, I don't want to hold them, too much responsible. One, because of the fan outcry of, all of the things that happened to Garcelle on the show. How do you find your footing in that situation? It's a very tricky slope and they don't want to like Camille said make it too woke, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I see
Oh
both
Lord,
sides.
they don't, because let's remember Ebony K. Williams
Oh.
Jesus.
on
Yes.
Oh
season
God.
14. That we can all.
Oh.
I love the collective groan. The collective groan. All the black people. We were all like,
Oh,
yeah, we look, we all
She
black and
doing too
proud. Girl,
much.
come on, we wanted to have a good time. We wanted to
Yeah.
see you. And it's like, you can be black. I'm black and proud. Do I spout off Black History facts every 5 minutes?
I you know
I'm trying
now
to make
no.
Black History. Hell,
I don't blame Miss Ebony for killing that show. Now, I told you before, I blame those
killing that
oxygen.
show.
Yeah, I don't blame for killing. So I blame those octogenarians, honey, past senior
Ah,
citizens up there not wearing their depends on the
What
floor,
is
voting for Trump, being mean, being drunk, not getting over a divorce 20 years ago. Honey, I was not watching that when Bethany left and Tinsley left and Dorinda left, so did I, honey. And so
yeah,
the
I did
thing
I did
is,
too now. But
yeah, so I'm not because
What
you know
I
what
wouldn't
they were up
give
there
to
and
hear
they would
about
one
Bluestone
scene where
Manor.
Ramona was in the bathroom and she was in the bed. Girl, no, I'm not watching your old ass shit on
but
ooh,
see,
TV.
but see the
Dolce Delicious got a great point. Ooh, and a great makeup job, honey.
Oh,
That's a
yeah,
good.
see,
go
I
ahead.
That's a
told
good
you I said,
eyelash.
Lisa, you better do
She
it,
got a
girl.
good
Go
eyelash.
ahead.
A moment for the makeup, but
Oh,
Yes.
she
that's it.
Garcelle couldn't defend her confessionals. And that's another thing. You can't, and really, she couldn't defend when they asked
And
her.
I think that was
And two, how did you fall
right.
into that trap? How did you fall into the trap of, oh, well, you still think that, like, one, why did you bring that up this season when that shit happened? Like you skated by last year with the I think it was a setup, and but to bring
Yes.
it up again at your beach house as a plot, like, because you didn't have anything else to talk about. You ain't had no man, no woman. Like, I'd rather you have hired an extra that done that shit. I'd rather you have had a fake relationship, had a fake baby, anything, kick your nephews out, could have pulled a Marlowe,
Yeah.
than accusing someone of a crime involving their children.
Wrong
That
is wrong. Yeah. I
how
love.
can
Yeah.
you think that you can say that to someone and that's not going to have deep
And this is
repercussions? Now,
what I'm saying about making reality TV so dark. Oh,
Well, heck, why wouldn't she say it? That Erica cussed out her teenage underage son, and everybody laughed it off like it was a joke. Nobody apologized to Jackson. They was just like, "Oh, it was Erica was drunk." That's a child. You are
they,
cussing out a child.
And let's not forget the troll farm too, allegedly by the ladies on the show, the books in the trash. They were savages
but
with her.
Right.
Absolutely.
They was coming for her, and
Absolutely.
nobody ever really apologized.
But I will
They
say
just they
to Alex's
shifted the
point,
blame.
she has
yeah.
ample opportunity to address those things in a way where she could return some of the savagery that she received, and
Mm,
she never did that, and it was all in protection of her brand. That was the issue. You can't be
Mm-hmm.
so overly protective where you're just letting everything slide, but then on the end when you decide that you're done, then it's mad day, you know what I mean, but nothing still comes out of it. It was wasted. It was wasted.
You know what? I think you ladies are right. I mean, I love Garcelle. I loved her for a long time. But I will say one point. I will say is that when she did mention the rumor about all that, even though who knows if it's true or not, it like what people are saying with Kenya right now. It lowered. I was like, Garcelle, you're better than that. That's what I was thinking about that. Even though they were savages, but right is right, wrong is wrong. I didn't agree with Lisa Rinna talking about drugs in the bathroom, obviously, and I don't agree with this. Talk about the rumor. Who knows if it's true?
And the first thing Dorit said was, "Where my kids are." People were doing bathroom in the house with my kids.
She turned into a Karen, and that was
No. I think any mother would be like, "Wait, you're."
And like Alex has said many times, she hasn't.
She hasn't what?
She has a public platform, and Alex said that on the video. I think it was today. A public platform. So I reopened the case. What if they decide to reopen the case just off of what she said because she has so much standing behind her?
Yeah,
because you know these people.
Yeah.
And an investigator, you never know what's being investigated and why someone might think you know something. Jamie said, didn't Jax give Erika a pass? Like he approached her about what happened. He kind of did, and he gave her a pass because he is a gentleman. He is a young gentleman. So he's like, I'm not gonna look bad just because some old bat was too drunk and hied up. I ain't gonna let that affect me. He's a gentleman. He knows how to act. And two, he's not gonna get mad at no woman.
Right. And I would say this too, when it comes to, I was gonna say when she talked about her kids, say, oh well, in the house now. I'm sorry for Dorit in that moment, but Dorit, you seem to not give excuse my French, everybody, 2 shits and 14 farts about the troll farm. And the way that Garcelle kids and everybody was being stalked and attacked, and so the kids, her kids were in danger too, and you didn't care. So it's I don't know, it's touchy, it's crazy. Nobody kids should be in jeopardy is my point, and I think that Garcelle obviously she doesn't want anybody, she doesn't want anybody family to be sad or mad or whatever, but they didn't care about Garcelle kids. I will stand by that statement. They really didn't. They didn't care about her kids.
I agree with that.
They didn't protect her children at all.
No.
Oh
but you see,
they would never let another cast member do that to any other the kids on here. You got young kids from everybody but Erika, old dried up, but you ain't never seen nobody cuss out little Porsha or any of Kyle's daughters.
Yeah.
And whether Jax chose to forgive it or not, that's not. What would it look like? A young, biracial, black-looking boy cussing out an old white woman in Hollywood.
But like I
said, he was born at night, but not last night.
I think they still would have laughed because they was all lit. But look at the people who laughed. Kyle and Mauricio not together. Dorit and PK not together. Erika is broke. So you know what goes around comes around. Even though Erika did apologize to him, but when she did it, I was like, this chick is intoxicated and on some drugs. But Garcelle should have really read her and see Garcelle's number one problem. Because see, I figured Garcelle out. See, everybody talks about Sutton used Garcelle. They used each other. Because I'm sorry, about her son's former drug problem. We done been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. You're not going to tell me you were dating some men, you just kept it off of camera because Sutton didn't ask you to be her spokesperson. You volunteered. And see, and this is another problem that people don't want to talk about. You got a lot of black women, for some reason, they just so happy to have a white friend that cares about them, that they can just get their defense 24/7. And it's kind of like, nobody asked you to do that. Because see, Boz is doing it too. And it's like, nobody asked y'all to do that. Because I used to look at Garcelle and be like, Sutton is grown. Sutton can defend herself. And you need to have Sutton prove her friendship to you, not the other way around.
Now, I want to say, I see it a little differently. Mm-hmm. I saw Garcelle do what I would do. Find the weakest in the group and befriend them. So that way you have somebody that's not going to run off. Kyle, Erika, Dorit, I know the Peppers will throw me over a bus in a hot minute. but I know Sutton ain't got nowhere to run.
But see, the part that she messed up, Alex, was you don't get with the weakest one that's trying to be with the cool girls.
Uh-huh.
See, Sutton, if Garcel was never on this show, Sutton would be all up under Kyle.
Yeah.
Garcel just kind of made her realize, why are you doing this? And Garcel, she didn't really check Sutton the way she needed to check Sutton. She never, it was just odd. I'm like, why are you coming to her defense? Boz is just doing it to get an inroad in the show. Because like I said, the target's gonna be on her next season. I'm not even worried about it. But like I said, when I worked in corporate America back in the day, we all knew about her reputation. She likes to be the only one, the token one.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that. It's in her book.
Because see, let me tell you something. I always tell people, okay, we're all Black on this panel.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to make announcements about my Blackness. I don't have to wear ethnic clothing. I don't have to buy all the Black brands and make these announcements. And we're going to have all these Black masseuses and everything like this. You just do it. And for me, with Boz, because I went to grad school for advertising and marketing, I was sitting here like, this is a marketing campaign she's constructed.
Yes. I mean, even her tagline, I'm marketing the most successful product myself.
So it's like, it's not authentic. It's just, I mean, right down to the gay assistant. I'm like, this is all this is so tired and delayed and through, and we've seen it before. And here's another thing. Can we have, for the love of Christ, can I see a housewife that has an assistant that's not gay? And no offense to my gay people on the panel, it's just so stereotypical. It's just so stereotypical. And one of my gay friends told me, usually when they do that, because no straight bitches like them.
Yeah.
Hell, the gay ones don't like them either. They getting a check.
Like I said, you see, Boz's one is her says he's young. I'm not mad at him. Sutton, that guy like is probably getting a good check. Because I can see why Sutton, I mean, I'm not going to put it all on her, but yeah, I kind of see why your husband filed for divorce. Not saying he's not without either, but I'm like, all these chicks on the show, save Garcel, I'm like, yeah, I see why y'all husbands divorced y'all. I see it.
I do too. I see why, especially Sutton.
Oh, yeah.
I see why he cuts that check with glee.
And I generally like Sutton, but those personality switches, ladies on this panel, when you have a true sisterhood with your friends, you don't have to announce it.
Right.
But baby,
That's right.
yes, but she is a Southern white woman from Savannah, Georgia. What the heck does she know about sisterhood?
Well,
She pledged white sororities.
I'm
What do they know?
Oh no, they know
Wet
because
t-shirt
I'm
contest.
originally a Southern Black woman who have friends like Sutton, but they're not as bad as Sutton, and they're like good, true friends. I've been friends with for like 30 years. Sutton is awkward. In my former job, I met somebody who went to high school with Sutton, and he said, "What you see on TV is what you get." That's the way she was in high school. She didn't really fit in with the other Southern girls. She went off to New York City. Southern women don't do that. She was in modern dance. He said she's always been quirky because she's awkward because she doesn't really have friends. You can't sit here and talk about a sisterhood and then you turn around and the way she flipped on Dorit. And I don't even like Dorit. Real friends don't do that.
I don't
They
think
don't.
she has the basis to be a real friend. If you look at her relationship with her mother, it just pours
Mm-hmm.
all through the show. You know what I mean? Like with her dynamics with the women and how she tries so hard to be good with the in crowd because she still has that same probably thing your friend was talking about, your coworker was talking about. that awkward girl syndrome that wants to be, in charge of the girls, but she doesn't have that thing. She's missing the it quality.
It's acting because she talks about all this women power and I am woman, hear me roar, and all this strong stuff. But you crumbled when the man that divorced you said, "Yo, I'm getting transferred to London, and you need to come and bring my son with me." And she's sitting there for a second quivering. And it's like, you divorced him. He don't tell you what to do.
You know
But
who
you're
Sutton
but
reminds me of? Have y'all watched the show Euphoria? You know that show with black people only, but it's written by white people.
I've not
Sutton
really
is
watched
Cassie.
Zendaya. I haven't really watched it, but yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Sutton is Cassie. She is desperately, she pretends to fit in the room, but she's awkward and she doesn't really fit in. And she's trying
Right.
to mimic whoever is the top
Right.
dog around, whoever
Right.
is competition. And the only
You're right,
reason I
Sugar
think
Gal.
she was friends with Garcelle because Garcelle was not competition to her.
Exactly. There
Mm.
was a benefit to the alliance because she saw that Garcelle would stick up for her in every single way because they were both outcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, you know,
and the other
Mm.
thing is, speaking as a black woman that was raised in the South, but now I live in Chicago, a lot of Southern white women have been raised that other white women are the enemy. So they look toward black friendships or historically the black nanny, the black housekeeper, the
Thank
black
you. I was waiting
secretary,
for you to hit that,
always
honey.
hmm
like it's treated more like family than they're actually family because white women are raised
White
that other
gays
white women
too.
are the enemy.
White
And I used to live
gays.
with white gays. I used to live with white gays. Yep. And I think
White.
that's why Sutton also gravitated to her.
I
yeah,
can
we saw
definitely
that
say
one on Atlanta, that white gay.
Well, you know what? Speaking of Atlanta, since Alex had that in the title, do we think this show is just gone and dead? Even though I do like the new people.
I think
Yes, it
it,
needs to go. It
I
needs to go.
say it. Well, no, I was gonna say like we're not getting rid of Housewives. Bravo done spent too much money on it. NBC done spent too much money. It's worldwide. What they need to do is a recast and a return to the actual wives, ex-wives of Atlanta that were I don't want to say more family oriented than Love and Hip Hop because they're good parents too, but it's a different image. It is a much more Norman Rockwell peek behind the gates, and we
hmm
ain't getting to peek behind. We don't want to see behind these gates. We don't want these, you Porsha getting married to somebody where you don't even really know their name, and you're 44 with a child. We want something more stable. I will say that more stable than a love and hip hop relationship that we know will last a season. Because Porsha, you left and came back 2 seasons later, and now your shit's over.
Mm.
I
No,
think
no,
they
no cares.
married women because the show is called Housewives. They can have a show for single. They did Blood, Sweat, and Heels. Bring black
Bring that
and
back.
Blood, Sweat, and Heels. Do an Atlanta version for the single. And you know what? And here's why this is what we need. Because there is nothing wrong with being single. If you
Right.
don't want a man, don't have one. However, if you're on a show called Housewives and you have said, I want a relationship, and then you get into other people's relationship business, we're going to read you for being single. So that way, go on and put them on a different franchise. So that way, you can read with other single girls, and you both, that way, okay, you don't have a man, you don't have a man. That's not a read, that's a fact.
Yeah.
But you know
You know
what,
what,
Alex?
Alex? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll be real short, Mel.
Oh, no, no,
They
please.
were
Please, please,
talking about
please.
this on another channel. See, we've gotten past the show being true to the title of the show. Because if it was true to the title of the show, you would have maybe what 2 housewives in every city because all the married women don't want to be on this show. If you think about it, if they only kept it to married women, there wouldn't be any shows left. You would have maybe 2 people on each show. Go ahead, Mayo. I'm done.
It's okay. I like listening to everybody. It's good. No, I was going to say, first off, I agree with you and I agree with Alex. I have 2 points to make. One point is, when you were saying, Bougie and Alex, when you were talking about the show, I was thinking about what did I love when I first watched this show? And again, as a gay black man who didn't have kids and you know all that stuff, just working and chilling and whatever, and nothing like that. I enjoy watching wives and husbands talk about, you know, funny things, but there was comedy there because Nene was very funny and so was Vicky. So that's one thing I think is missing across all the shows. There's no comedians there. And I'm not talking about people doing stand-up, but very funny ladies who are very comedic and they shopping and groceries. Even Kim Richards, who I love, she was funny making potatoes. I died laughing when she's making potatoes with margarine at one point. So, you know, they missed the comedy. And also I do miss the marriages because it's not my life. So I'm single, so I know about being single, but I really don't know about that kind of, you know, traditional marriage and stuff like that. So that's what it was always interesting to me to watch. So that would be interesting. But also, I don't think that this season is in trouble. For me, I've enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy Snakegate. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy Bolo. I was very bored with those seasons. I was bored. I was totally.
Yes, boring.
I thought that the Cookie Lady was obnoxious. I didn't really enjoy none of that. So for me, I've taken a controversial stance because when I think about Britt, and she's the girl right now who's in the hot seat. When I think about Miss Britt, and I think about her, I compare her to Mia. And there's no comparison because when I was asking somebody, I was like, did I miss anything? Britt did not talk about, at least unless I missed anything, she didn't talk about people's marriages. She didn't talk about people's businesses. She sure didn't talk about people's children. She was, she didn't do that kind of stuff. At least I haven't seen that on the show. She was desperate. She was thirsty. She was triggered somehow. Something happened. And then she talked in a way that was almost in comparison to how Kenya talked previous seasons to a pregnant woman. So it wasn't, so that's what happened. And this unfortunate thing happened or whatever. So that's where we at right now. But I would say that this season reminds me of season 5 of New York City. I remember there was so toxic over there with Jill, with her crazy self and all of them, that they fired half the cast. And they kept Ramona, they kept Luann, and they kept Sonia. And they brought in Aviva, who I enjoy very much. So I actually bumped into her years ago. She's a very nice lady. They brought in Aviva, Carol, and Heather, who I thought was wonderful. But then they got rid of them too. And they brought back one of the queens, Miss Bethany. I think on this show, they will probably do another reshuffle. They probably will keep Angela, who is, hit or miss for me, but I really enjoy her. I've enjoyed Kelly. She's very cute. Britt, I think, will be going after the season. And they may bring back Nene or some other people. But I think this season is really just the same way that was for New York City. Is that you got rid of half the cast. The streets of the Twitter is shocked with what Kenya did, and they upset for her. But I think she'll be back too next year with Porsha and probably with Nene or somebody else coming in. So I think that's what's happening. It's a transition season. So that's what I think. I'm not scared that Atlanta is going to go down. I think it's going to actually go back up. But I think they will get rid of some of these people in the cast currently, and they'll bring back some OGs or stuff, just like they did with New York City.
Now, I have a question for Alex. Do you think that they have cheapened the brand so much that no upstanding quality couples like you were talking about would even want to come to the show at this point?
That concerns me, especially for our Black shows. White shows they still gonna attract their people. I definitely feel like I do feel in a way that Housewives of Atlanta and Potomac they're losing their recipes. They were great shows where we got to see successful Black women and some of them in happy marriages. And now it's like, I could see why a couple would say that's not my brand. Yeah. As with this, with the colorism on Potomac, I just feel like the light, fun shade of season 4 and season 5. Like even when Kenya was flirting with Apollo and Apollo was flirting back, it was like, ooh, a little slick, but it wasn't the end of the world. This is, I agree. I think that this will scare high quality couples off that we would want to see, that would have something to share. But I do feel like they brought on Shamia as that anchor.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
they're going to show, hey, this is how we can treat our A families. Now, our B families, Porsha, they're going to get the reality show machine treatment where they will get chewed up and spit out, but they've been on this ride a while. You, however, you're giving us lifestyles of the rich and famous. You're offering something that they're not. So we're going to edit you as such.
I really want to see, I really want to see Quad and Mariah on the Housewives of Atlanta. I think they would be a better fit.
Why hasn't that happened?
I don't know why, but I'm like, that's what they need to be.
Well, I asked that question because I wanted to say, you know, this is going to probably be unpopular, but I like Kelly for her little quick, you know, little wit and stuff like that. That's cute. But she just kind of brings kind of a dark element too with her story, with her husband and having to go around with security. I kind of want more for the Black shows than, you know, all of these struggle plot lines, like all of this, you know, dark, heavy stuff. Like it just seems like all of our Black shows, especially Potomac with Karen Huger going to jail. You know what I mean? But like I said, like I just feel like she brings that heavy, it's real, but I don't want to see that on Real Housewives.
I get that, but that's her husband, not her.
Yeah,
and
but you know
there's
what?
a level of I want to protect her from her. Like you be on the show. Like there's a level of I'm like, no, if your husband was a piece of shit and you have to deal with DV, then I feel like that's a moment where we can highlight something that maybe some other women are going through, and it's like, oh, maybe we could get somebody out of a bad situation. There's a level of that could be teachable, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It can be.
I agree.
Yeah. Have you seen Kelly's husband?
Ooh, no.
I saw the wedding photo. When I tell you this is a cautionary tale on marrying a man, I think for money, because ain't no way. There is nothing. It's like something is missing. Why she married this man? I don't know if he had some money or something. Something is just missing, and I think she's also doing this. Maybe this will help her court case. Maybe this will help him to stay away from her. When I go to Atlanta, I want to try her waffles because people say it's good, even though Britt shaded her on Watch What Happens Live saying the waffles was soggy because apparently Britt has fallen out with everybody on the cast except for Porsha. But
I'm not surprised. I feel like they were all, I feel like they kind of wish Kenya was there rather than her.
Absolutely. This girl started beef with Kenya by quoting Kenya's quotes to her.
Oh my God.
How much of an obsessed fan could you truly be?
That was that. It's just like you said earlier. It's almost like the shows that are majority Black, just straight up dark. Just, you know, they were fun at first and now they're just all dark. I think
is it the Eric Fullerification of Black housewife shows? Because ever since he took over for Carlos Quine, it's just been crazy. It's gotten worse. It's always escalating. Why can't we just have fun stuff?
I want to make fun of flatware. I want somebody to go out and spend I'm talking about $7,000-8,000 on place settings, and I want us to rip that shit to shreds. That's what fun shade. I want us to make fun. Oh my God, did you see that dining room? Did you like when we saw Giselle's house? Oh my God. Now that was that was shade. Those magenta walls. She had magenta walls.
That
magenta,
mixed match house.
lacquer,
Lacquer.
lacquer, lacquer. And so that's what I want. I want to say lacquer. I want to look at her china cabinet. I want to talk about her napkins and tablecloth. I want that type of shade. I want to make fun of those shoes.
Yeah.
Again.
You are right.
I just want to
Because
see
that's when
housewives that
Wendy
don't
was
all
her
look alike.
funniest.
All these housewives now, especially the black ones, they're looking like Cindy Lou from Whoville. Everybody looks the same.
What's it going to the same surgeon? Everybody's getting that Michael Jackson nose over here sound nasally like they need to blow it out and then it's going to pop off their face. Like, I am so sick of this. I can't stand to hear Brittany talk. I'm like, girl, blow your nose. Hold your breath. Do something, Lord, because this is too much. You paid to get botched?
Yeah.
For why?
And then and
One
then
thing I don't understand is how Britt Edie's voice made it past testing. I don't know how. They have to be desperate in Atlanta.
You know what I think? And like this was always a rumor, but it's evidence for it. I think they brought her and Ming Lee on because Ming Lee has been in the background of a lot of events this season that the housewives have thrown.
That's
She is not
right.
mic'd up, but we see pictures of her. We see
yeah.
her in these scenes. I think that was supposed to be a storyline. You know, their shared rivalry over messing around with Wingstop Rick Ross. And like
Absolutely.
that was supposed to be a storyline.
So
But
that,
I think
yeah.
and I
So,
think
yeah. So no. I would like, yeah. I'm shady girl. So I think that you're right. You hit it on the head. I heard that this weekend, and I would ask you. So I don't. This is what made the show more interesting to me because I want to know this, and I wish that somebody would research it because I want to know. Okay, so Ming Lee she's not back down, and I respect her for that. I don't know if I like her, but she said in the blog when Britt was complaining about an interaction with Ming Lee. She said, I was with Ming Lee a couple of years ago. She was drunk and she basically threatened me and said, you know what, I don't like you, or I'm paraphrasing it, I don't like you. And I still got pictures on my phone with this, that. And on a rainy day, if I ever get mad with you, I'm going to show it. And Ming Lee said, wait a minute, she said, I said that verbatim. But I didn't do it. And that's kind of what she said in a recent post. So they definitely got some energy between them. I want to know, did Kenya know this? Or did the producers know it? Because I actually don't feel this is what I feel. I don't feel Kenya was premeditated with maybe with her relationship with Ming Lee, because they say Ming Lee and her are very friendly. I think, of course, she was not meditated. She was premeditated when it came to that photo debacle. But I want to know, how did Ming Lee and another woman named Akila or a name with an A, how did all three of them become friendly? Was they friendly before the taping? And did Britt know of their friendship? And that's why the fourth wall, we can't really say that what's her name, that Britt was feeling uncomfortable because she got word from somebody that Kenya was very friendly with people who want to mess her up. Basically, they really hate
that's what
Britt.
I was thinking.
So
That's what I was thinking too, Mel, because there's just like I thought they had gone back to the old school way of auditioning women, like filming them in scenes, and then whoever they decide to keep, they'll edit everybody else out. Because that's how both Portia and Kenya got on. They auditioned with like in season 4 or 5 with several other women. You see them in these scenes up until like the first mini cast trip. But none of them are mic'd up. And it felt the same way with this season because we keep seeing Ming Lee. And then you have Portia getting on her YouTube. And of course, she could be lying, saying that a housewife gave Kenya the information. But if she's saying Ming Lee, I can believe that because they were beefing for a while over Rick Ross' fat ass. And that just never made sense.
How you
Like,
gonna beef
girl,
over a man and neither one of y'all are with him?
right.
baby, still beefing.
These girls impersonating grown women, I just gets on my nerves. These little girls impersonating grown women.
But then Ming Lee said, so the part that made me laugh in her reply was she said, "Oh, Britt, I'm not thinking about you, and I didn't do anything." I'm thinking, wait, Miss Ming, you owned up to the fact that you still have pictures on your phone from a woman who you're not thinking about. You've had on your phone for 11 years. That is crazy to me. That's like, wait a minute, why would you have that nasty stuff on your phone if you don't really hate this woman? Basically, you would
Well, you know
not
what that
hold
is,
on.
Mel?
Yeah,
That's called bullets in the chamber. Because I have a confession to make.
Oh.
I used to work for Gucci, and I had a manager threaten me after I left, and I kept her texting my phone. Oh, it's been 10 years. So when I run and have conversations with people, and they'll ask me about, oh, by the way, this person applied here for a manager position. You might have worked with her. I pull out the text and stop that hiring immediately. So I don't think that
Ooh.
Ming is looking at it. She's just got the bullet in the chamber just in case she has to use it. My question is, what was the age of Brit? Because the timeline keeps changing now. I think Porsha was very reckless talking about the girl was underage, because if you don't have
That doesn't look underage.
but the timeline keeps moving, and I'm kind of like, girl, what was your mom and daddy doing when you was in high school? Because you was running them streets.
So Porsha was very reckless with that, because, and I'll let Trey, the person, because that would implicate Kenya in something. So if somebody put out a picture, maybe she didn't know, but if the picture that she showed was of a person underage in that moment, that's terrible. I hope it's all terrible, but I was shocked by that. It's an underage a P word in the salon. I hope that's not true. I mean, all of it's disgusting to me. It's terrible. That was shocking. It was very shocking. I hope
Well, this is not necessarily tea, but it's just like if you bored and you feel like searching on the internet. If you were to, let's say, happen to go to X video, look for type in a certain name, and you can see the age of said video, it's there. It's
Okay.
been there for a while. And according to her age and how long it's been uploaded and how she looks compared to her high school photos, because the girl
Well,
does
real
still have
number.
high school photos around, the real high school photos. Like, Portia before all the work. You know how Pilar looks? That's what
Yeah.
Portia looked like before she got touched by the
Yeah.
surgeon. Yeah,
right.
you can, yeah.
Well, if it's
Britt
still
wasn't
up
no,
there,
Britt
I
wasn't
would,
underage.
yeah, if it's
I
still up
don't
there, I would
understand.
definitely
It
believe that she
is.
was not. Yeah, if it's up
Yes.
there, I definitely believe they would have took it down by now. If people can still find it and go to their website, I'm sure somebody would have said, "Oh no, well this is an underage person," or they
Yeah.
suspected, or I feel like Pornhub or XTube, wherever they would have took it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
they're
don't want
Um,
very
to
good
see. I don't
about
want to
doing that.
see it
Like,
because
not
I
to
don't think
just,
she did a good job. I don't think she do a good job. She just gives me, if you're gonna do it, girl,
hello,
do it well. If
princess.
you're gonna be on video, and something just tells me it's kind of like the Kim Kardashian one. Big yawn. Don't even want to see it.
Girl,
Not.
such a yawn.
I'm just tired of. I'm tired. Well, first of all, thank you, Alex, for letting me up. I was getting kind of tired of typing, but I've always been a fan of yours for a long time. Although I do not watch, or I stopped watching Housewives after they kicked Kenya off. Even though I'm not Team Twirl, I'm just not interested in these ladies. But watching you and some of the other content creators has kept me kind of interested in the foolishness and the foolalala. I will say that I believe it was either Jesse Wu or somebody was saying that they were asking, it was at least two housewives that were asking for Ming Lee to be mic'd up. And every time that they attempted to get her to get mic'd up, production was like, no, we can't do that. Honestly, I feel like it has more to do with Ming Lee and her fake relationship with this lesbian lady. I feel like it wouldn't have fleshed out. And I also believe even though some of the white women are able to have that agency to be lesbians, I'm weary of them allowing the black women to be lesbians on TV on Bravo. But that's just my opinion about it. But I do think Ming Lee is a deplorable human being to be holding on to telephones from 2011 with burn book information in it. That's just kind of odd. It's very weird to me.
I mean, because Bougie, you have texts of somebody being crazy, but you don't have revenge P on your phone.
No,
Mainly,
I don't have Revenge P on my phone in a photo, but like I said, see, this is just telling me there's some pieces to the story that we're not privy to.
yeah, absolutely,
Because
yeah.
it just tells me that these two have been maybe interacting over the years.
Mhm.
And like you said, you see Ming Lee, okay, she got the bullets in the chamber, she's been holding it for years. See, what Kenya should have done, hold the pictures in the chamber. Don't do that yet. Don't show that. You should have focused on the insurance fraud. See, that's the thing. If Kenya was going to focus on something, but like we talked about earlier, she shouldn't have done it at her own event. But
Right.
even if she would have done the insurance fraud, yeah, we would have talked about why you making Britt the focus of your salon opening, but Kenya would still be on the show.
So they talked a lot about the producers. I mean, it's Cynthia, who I love. She was talking a lot about the producers in her interviews in New York City, about how the producers were so excited, how they structured the season, this, that. So I want to ask this to everybody, actually, because again, we don't have the information yet. I feel, and it's just a feeling, I feel that this show has been more produced this season. I've enjoyed it, but I feel this. I feel like it's been almost bipolar. I feel like specifically when it comes to Britt and Kenya, they are there in these very basic scenes at Shamia's party and stuff like that. And I'm feeling, have those producers gone in their interviews with these ladies separately said, well, did you see what Kenya said about your ring? Kenya, did you hear what she said about this? And I feel like producers were in separate little corners with both of these ladies, just amping it up almost like a Jerry Springer episode. Like they would just turn the temperature up way too high. So every time they then go back to these scenes to each other, it's just the animosity is just too big, But between Ming being behind the scenes and maybe Britt seeing her in these parties that they were in and seeing her connected with Kenya and also these producers, something turned that temperature way up too fast. And I think I'm blaming Ming, and I'm also blaming the producers with their separate interviews and sort of asking these questions, or maybe things that the woman missed. They've been in these parties, they didn't hear everything, but then you got producers saying, "Oh, they said this, and did you hear that?" That's just the way reality works. But
I don't feel like the. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead,
I was
Trey.
just going to say, I don't feel like, okay, so yes, I believe that there is a base understanding that producers have a duty, honestly, from Bravo to manipulate situations or coerce these people to talk about different things. But at the end of the day, I have to hold these people who are doing these things accountable. If I look back as a viewer from Atlanta, at Kenya's actions, she very much gives me Marlo. Whether we want to admit it or not, when Kenya is pushed to, she will go to hell. And Kenya's one of those girls that she said she decided to go to hell. When she went pulling out that porn picture was just ridiculous. I also believe that Britt was stupid. Why is she going into this? I do believe that production may have had a little bit more hand on Britt because she's new. So maybe they were doing a little bit more talking to her and giving her head gassed up about, oh, well, Kenya's going to do this to me, or I don't know. Honestly, I believe it may have been that plus whatever substances her and her husband may be doing, which I honestly fully believe. But that's another story. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. I can agree to a certain extent, but I also have to hold the other people accountable for the actions that they do.
Yeah, now
That's
one of the
fair
commenters. Oh no, I was just gonna say one of the commenters, Christy, said that they paid for Porsha's Patreon and said it was a housewife that gave the information, I guess, about the pictures or whatever. Like I say, this show is just dark. Oh, go ahead, Shady Gas.
No, because I was just thinking to myself, it just seems so crazy, especially after you watch episode 4. That's the most vulnerable, aside from when Phaedra read Kenya down at that reunion, that we've seen Kenya. And you had some people who just don't like Kenya talking about she wasn't scared, she wasn't threatened. I ain't never seen Kenya sit so quietly at a curb to the point that even Porsha was like, hey, just hop in the car with us. Because this girl was acting crazy.
Yeah, did you feel, and now let me correct something, because Chrissy said no, it was Jesse Wu Patreon, because I don't want to put out the wrong information. She said it was Jesse Wu spilling tea. Did any one of y'all feel on that first episode, I was kind of like Alex said, it was like, Cynthia, Kenya, why are you here? It's like he said, just have a whole.
They cut the scenes out.
Like, I think that kind of goes back to what Mel was saying, as far as like, I believe it was either Mel or you that were saying how the season just feels really bipolar. It's because they cut the season when they decided to, show their hand and get rid of Kenya. Then they had to squirm and scramble and see what they can do to put the stuff together to manipulate us as viewers as to why they had to get rid of Kenya. And now I feel like they they really put they foot in their mouth and up they booty hole, honestly, because now it's like, don't nobody like Brit. I just feel like they really dropped the ball, and they didn't allow the situation to happen naturally and give the viewers the opportunity to kind of see what everything happened and how and what to do afterwards. They let Kenya down too early.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that
But
I
it's
agree with Shady Girl. I was gonna say I agree with Shady Girl. What she, I think, I mean, Shady Girl could come in when I with this. As I was gonna say, Kenya is not my favorite. I used to love her at the beginning very much, and I loved her very much. But then, the cookie thing, she was my favorite. But I will say this: I think that Kenya is very compelling television, and I think it was a mistake that even though she's not my favorite, she would have gave a lot of really good stuff in her confessionals. I'm sure she
yes.
gave a lot of things about her children, her business, and all that. She gave a lot of wonderful things. I'm hearing up until that very unfortunate, misguided, stupid moment she did in the salon. So that does make the season disjointed, and so I think that's what's feeling right now. And also, I was going to say too, and maybe Shady Girl jump in. When Monique did her crazy moment, because I didn't like Monique after that. When she did her crazy moment in Potomac did it well in a way where you still had the ladies were separate. The ones who had the incident, they were separate, but they still were filming with other other people on the cast. And also, I believe Monique still had some confessional. She was phased out over that season. She was phased out eventually, but they was still it wasn't so jarring. The physical attack happened, and she was not just disappeared. She was there. She was talking. She had confessional. She cried, and she was phased out slowly. That would have been more appropriate for this situation.
Absolutely, Mel, because like we got to see how we got to that point. Like we could see the push and pull between Candace and Monique. We saw the people agitating the situation with Giselle and Robin and the bitter hoes bringing around Charisse to out that horrible storyline they came up with. You even saw the video of the fight where you literally see Giselle's hand between the girls. Giselle
Thank you.
pushes
Thank
at
you.
yeah, girl, I got 20/20 vision with these glasses on. Giselle
I
pushed that
saw that.
hand, pushed Monique, and that wig got the tugging. It got the tugging. And like cutting out Kenya, especially after we seen so much, like from the few scenes we had of her this season, her interactions with Kelly, her actually trying to be a girl's girl, she turned it down. She wasn't that vicious as we would have expected. Like I actually began to enjoy Kenya again up until she pulled out that Kinko's crap. It killed it. But it's like production. How could you let a newbie say that to Kenya? And I know some people are like, hey, Kenya, when she in older seasons with Brandon, said she had a gun for somebody, she didn't threaten Phaedra or any woman directly. She didn't even say it in her confessionals. She said, if you come up on me, I got my piece. Who hasn't said that? But I can tell you this, I have never gone to
Didn't
my
she say she was gonna
workplace where I'm
shoot her
getting
in
a
her donkey
check.
booty?
Yes, and they seen with Brandon. She didn't say it to Phaedra.
I understand what you said when because I've heard that argument before. I just feel like it's true. However, I feel like we are glossing over the fact that Kenya as well as Porsha have honestly they spearheaded a lot of the bad behavior that we have allowed on these shows. I mean, I don't think we ever would have got a Candace and Monique if Porsha wasn't dragging Kenya across the floor, and we still saw Monique. Well, yeah, both of them were still on the show and made it at least to the reunion. It's just I just feel like there's been a lot of things that Kenya has done that were entertaining, but also they were things that were questionable. And I just feel
So,
like Brit I feel
so
like I'm not saying I'm not absolving Brit of what she did. What she did was trifling, and it was weird. Um, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's this level of like judging or trying to see which one was the worst. It kind of bothers me.
So I hear
Well,
you
I
on that
mean,
part.
I get
Oh,
what you're
yeah.
saying.
I
Sorry.
hear what you're saying. People have labeled Brit as a baby Kenya, and I do see that what you're saying absolutely. Because at the reunion, season 5, she was saying face to face with pregnant Phaedra, I want to knock your teeth out. After she said her iconic line, "Don't come for me unless I come for you." After that, she said she's gonna knock the woman's teeth out. Then she played with the thing in the closet. That being said, I feel like I'm Kenya is so smart. She is such a smart woman that I something again to Shady Girl and to everybody else is saying something about Kenya's story. Maybe we haven't seen. It's been thrown off because Kenya's so smart that I'm surprised she didn't clock Brit, as a person who was coming in as what she did years ago, coming in very aggressive with her words, coming in trolling a little bit, coming in a little thirsty. You know, the coochie crat, and I mean Brit studied Kenya and came in as a baby Kenya. It's just that's just what it is. So I'm so
She
surprised
didn't.
that Kenya didn't clock that and didn't get tripped up by it. That part is still a mystery to me, and I would love to ask Kenya. Kenya, you're so smart. How did you see her? You obviously knew what she was doing, but yet you kind of how did she get you? Because you know that she was playing you. She pulled a Kenya on you, and so how did
Yeah,
you not? How did you? First off, my thing is with Kenya. Why didn't you treat Britt like you treated Marlo and other people? Like, oh, she's at my salon. Oh no, she's out. She's embarrassed. She's gone. She's not coming in. Or what? Like, I'm so surprised that she wasn't doing her shady stunts and things like that. I'm surprised that because she has handled aggressive people in the past, and
yeah,
she's smart enough to see that what Britt was doing. But it's just surprising that she made every bad decision when it
yeah.
comes to that kind of yeah. So.
And where are her friends? Because you remember how Brandon and Miss Lawrence used to talk sense into Kenya?
Well,
And
Miss
it's
Lawrence was there.
He was there.
He
It was
was,
oh, he
everybody was
was.
there.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah.
she already had ran to the Kinkos by the time, she saw Miss Lawrence and
yeah.
Uh,
all that
And
But
you
stuff was
could
that's what I'm
already.
tell,
saying.
and
That
you
makes
could
no
tell
sense
she
though.
wasn't comfortable. She wasn't comfortable doing it because you remember she took a drink. You could tell, like Kenya, it was like desperation.
Right. Like that's kind of been my point. I'm like, this just with the Kenya that we know, even with all her antics, this wasn't a Kenya move. Like, yes, she went to Hades with it. She went to the ninth level, but it just seemed really staged almost. Like, Kenya,
Yeah,
you, who was hyping you up in the background? Like, why wouldn't you just have called her a peasant at the door and put her out? Like,
yeah. It,
that
it was
just
like
didn't make sense to me.
yeah,
Like,
it was
what
like this
producer? I want to
horrible.
know what producer who's behind this, because I
Yeah,
feel it in my spirit.
I
it was
feel
like this
honestly,
horrible Tyler Perry movie. Y'all remember the Tyler Perry movie? What was the thing with Taraji when she was on the boat and she's
oh,
trying to
um,
kill him and the chain wraps around her and pulls her down into the ocean?
oh
Yep.
no, no, no.
yeah, I remember that movie.
I thought you were about to talk about the one with the
I
casket when
don't
the
tell
woman.
people I've seen it before though.
Okay, I thought you were about to talk about the one with the casket when the woman went in the casket and pulled out the body and oh
Oh,
Lord.
Oh
okay. Well,
God.
Ooh,
we can talk
oh
about
baby
that one
girl.
too.
It's
Divorce in the Black, that one too. Acrimony.
I
Thank
just
you,
feel
Crystal.
like with Kenya, I agree with you all. My question would be why a pornographic picture in front of a room full of women, young and old women that would not like you knew you would you, the Kenya I understand Kenya to be would understand that is just too far. But at the same time, if I have to reason it or make some type of okay, why she did it, the only way that I can believe that this was something that was saying to her is that she felt like her back was against the wall when it came to production because she has been
Yes.
fighting with production the whole year before, at least a year or two. Honestly, she's been fighting with production since she decided to hide her marriage and send it over to the blogs rather than it being taped and filmed for Bravo. And I feel like that was the turn that made her not a friend of Bravo. And since then, they've just been kind of they've sucked her dry. They filmed the marriage and the dissolution of that. They gave her a little piece of we got to see Brooklyn because Bravo love the kids, but at the same time, her light has just been dimmed, more and more each season. And I just feel like she was at a point where she said, "Well, they're not going to show my birthday party I had for Brooklyn with all the other Atlanta housewives from yesteryear. They're not going to show my good stuff. So let me just do something that I know is going to put me on film that's going to show." And that's the only way I can just make that make sense to me.
I 100% agree with you because
Yes.
like Mel was saying earlier, this also goes back to that Candace and Monique situation. Because how the heck did Monique know for sure that Giselle and Robin had filmed with her ex best friend? You have production running between women, like telling them what's happening. Like this girl did this. They bring Charisse around. Like they let you know. And hey, when you're supposed to get called and you're on the call list, you have to show up to get your check. You're at your job. You can't not go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Speaking of Giselle, does anyone feel like the target is going to be on her back now? Now that Karen's in jail, that
Please,
production's
God.
going to her now.
Well,
Uh,
is Mia like officially not coming back, or is I don't know what's going
Child,
on with
Mia in
that cast?
Atlanta. I
Mia
think
trying to get
Mia's
on
trying to get
Atlanta.
on. I think she's trying to get on Housewives.
Okay, but she
She
moved to
done
Atlanta.
moved
But
to
you know how they do. Is there any type of way that she's still being on the cast, or what's her announcement that I moved to Atlanta, an announcement that I'm not no longer going to be on Potomac? Because I
Well,
didn't
you know
see that.
what?
I don't know.
The way she walked off the reunion and nobody cared on that stage, they probably
So
won't
like
even
Garcelle.
mention Mia next season.
Not even Jacqueline.
right.
They,
And
gonna
Jacqueline
talk
used to
more
But
be
about
on
like Sutton,
Public.
Garcelle than Mia.
So for
Jacqueline
me,
should care.
in a
She
way,
really should.
I'm sorry that listen, Mia was boring. She was obnoxious. She was just too much this season. But surprisingly, behind the scenes, all the people I like, the Wendy's, I was going to say Garcelle, I love Garcelle, the Wendy's, the
Yeah.
Candace, all they seem to like me. And so, we're hearing rumbles that my girl Candace coming back. So in a way, if Mia promises on the Bible, honey, she promised on the Bible that she won't throw her kids under the bus. She won't talk about no lovers and ex-lovers and this lover and all that. If she come back and she wanted to go to work on Giselle, I would watch it.
Yeah.
Eating popcorn.
Mel, you know why they like Mia. They like Mia like Married to Medicine, like Heavenly. She the mule of the show. She did all the work. She did all the heavy lifting, all the
But she just
foolishness.
did dark work.
Baby,
Like,
She
not
girl,
the
you
did.
work
gonna
mule.
play with your child's paternity?
Yeah.
Like, that was
It-
just dark.
it's getting to the point with Housewives that if you had a jacked up childhood, come on and join the show.
Come on now. Well, you know
If
what,
you
but
had a
Bougie,
normal childhood and you
but
have
you know
not
what?
healed, you can't be on it.
Right. So Bougie, so a couple of years ago, I had made that same joke, but I said it seemed like with Housewives producers, they were finding these women from the MAGA rally because they kept finding people that the Anna Marie's and the Jenny from Soul. I said, where the hell they find these MAGA voters? Like, where is this coming from? So I'm happy now that we don't have to deal with MAGA right now, that we deal with only these sort of, this unfortunate childhood people. But I do hope that next year, if Mia comes back, because I liked her first season, something about her. I don't hate the woman. I like her, but what this season was just too much. If she could just quiet down and maybe even be the friend of the show, we don't have to look at her house or lovers or none of that. We can just get her to be there to get on Giselle because I want Giselle to be God. I mean, I need her.
I
Say that.
enjoyed her.
Yeah,
I
we
enjoyed Mia as a
Giselle,
delusional
we want
character.
Giselle to be got. I
Yes.
speak with the Mia thing, and that's another thing. It's like I said, she did the heavy lifting and everything, and she was fun the first season, but then it got to the point of I think we're just all tired of these broken people who are unhealed that need to be on Y'all Fix My Life or something like that.
Absolutely.
But it's also showing this is a cautionary tale for these young girls. My grandma used to have a saying: when you marry for money, you earn every penny.
Come
I look
on
at
now.
Mia, I look at Erika, I look at Porsha. Ain't none of y'all winning because y'all tried to marry for money.
Miss Broken
And
Bougie,
just for
you
money.
really pulled out a quick note out at the end of Potomac's last reunion. The first thing in my head, because everybody was talking about if Mia was going to leave, was she coming back? All I kept thinking is if Mia was smart, she would have left this. That would have been her last. I would have just said, okay, I'm gone. I would have did my quiet exit, and then I would have sat in a room with Ayala Vincent, Shonda
Yes.
Rhimes, and any other really good screenwriter, bring Tyler Perry in there, Ryan Coogler, and
We
just
said
gave them
good.
my whole story. And it would have been the next big hit on Netflix.
Yes.
Because that's all her story is just another empire, just some black soap opera.
Yeah.
Beyond Gate.
And
That's her.
she's not healed. And I kind of feel sorry for Mia a little bit. Cause she ain't had a chance. She see, for her, she didn't have a chance. Just the way she grew up in the foster homes and everything like that. I look at somebody like Porsha. Why are you in this struggle of this scarcity?
I blame Portia's mother for that.
Yeah,
You know?
Porsha mama raised the gold digger who could only
Come on
pull up
now.
copper.
But then Iyanla is now problematic because Alex, you're gonna remember this because she up there hugging on Jonathan Majors as Two Feisty said the other day with Alex. You know the heavy titties of Hollywood. When
Here she is.
That's Two Feisty right there. Talking about you. When she talked about the heavy titties of Hollywood, coddling these abusive black men. That thing was so funny the other day. So even Iyanla problematic.
What happened?
No,
What's up, Feisty?
Hey, Feisty, we were talking about how it looks like to be on Housewives, you've got to have a jacked up childhood. So we were talking about Mia, and I was saying how I kind of felt sorry for Mia because she didn't have a chance the way she grew up. So Trey was talking about how if Mia was smart, when she walked off the reunion, she should have walked into her dressing room and had a camera there with Iyanla and Ryan Coogler and Shonda Rhimes. And then I mentioned, well, shit, now Iyanla is problematic because she's sitting up there hugging on abusive Jonathan. So I made the mention of the other day when you was on with Alex, you talked about the heavy titties of Hollywood, Iyanla, Sherry Shepherd, you know, this abusive Negro is getting coddled. And I literally just said your name.
The women of misogynoir. Because that's all that they are representing. Like, you can tell me that you grew up and you never felt loved and you didn't feel pretty and you did not feel encouraged by your mother by the way you treat these men.
Yes.
Because those are the only one who ever gave you any positive encouragement. That's why you over here with this BS. And I'm like, you doing this for Jonathan Majors? He got a face from 1845.
Oh,
girl,
yes,
no.
Reconstruction. Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait
a minute. Don't come for his face now. I love a good freedom rights face. I love a good bus route. Bus route boycott face.
Baby, that ain't even that.
And I think that man look like he works at the post office. He got a good job. That's what he looks like.
In that, baby.
Oh, so y'all don't like y'all men to march for freedom, is what y'all trying to say.
Oh, baby, you better be Dr. Walters, baby.
He wants that voice
to
say,
man, baby. That's my.
Well, y'all, that's
say that, Alex. He look like his grandmother is Sojourner Truth and his auntie is Harriet. That you see what MLK, Jesse Jackson, them they look like it in the 1960s. He don't look like that.
But that's what's in style.
Sojourner makes some good fried chicken. I bet that. I bet I'm going over to Sojourner's house to get me a good plate.
Yeah,
that's what's in style because I swear
you better be in that kitchen cooking.
Yeah, Jonathan does look like he found it at HBCU. Now he does get that look. But he found it at HBCU.
We need to see how long that man's been alive. Watch him be 400 years old.
Guys, have y'all seen?
Trying to be an actor at 400 years, I walk into the sun.
Baby, I'm on a man that'll walk from Selma to Montgomery. I'll tell you that.
But that's what's in style.
He has a Blue Hoodie said he has a thick face.
That is literally what's in style because guys, don't Kurt Frost look like he shot Sam Cooke? Oh, it's just me that noticed that.
Now wait a minute.
The young girls like him to look a little vintage.
Now the body is cheap. The body is cheap.
I want a new face. I want a 90s face.
I don't want no Kurt face.
But that's because you are a gentleman of a certain age. I'm talking about the young people out here. They like them to look like they saying back up for the.
So you saying young people got granddaddy issues, not even daddy issues. Granddaddy.
Yes.
They got granddaddies.
That's what they want.
I grew up with my father and grandfather.
My God, today.
Alex, you see, Jonathan is on his Negro Media Tour. It popped up in my on YouTube today. Cam Newton interviewed him. Now you know that was a hot mess interview that I'm not gonna look at, but just. Ooh.
Now like see, you call it the Negro Media. I call it the heavy titties of Hollywood.
Girl, I call it.
Cam ain't got a heavy titty.
Well, Jason Lee got heavy titties too.
If they don't, it's not gonna hit.
So how long y'all think they're gonna stay married?
10
I don't
minutes.
know,
She
because I didn't.
broke.
This wasn't on my bingo card. Them getting together in the first place. I'm going by as I see it happen. I have no clue.
As
Y'all,
long as the backyard was that they got married in, hell, I don't know.
when he said Megan lost jobs over him, I said, "Oh, Megan, you a new fool. I don't lose no money. Ain't no D that good that I'm gonna lose money over."
And she's stuck over there at Amazon on that terrible show. Harlem is a
Hold on.
poorly
It's
written piece of
Now,
poorly written.
Potential.
I have to
Harlem.
debate you. I have not looked at the last season, but I loved Harlem.
Poorly
The first
written.
2 seasons were good.
The
I didn't.
first 2 seasons were fine, but it seemed like, well, every generation wants its 4-part female ensemble. Everybody wants to recreate the magic of like a Golden Girls or for Black folks living single.
Go wait and exhale.
Of all of the 4-part female ensemble shows that came out, because all of those shows popped up around Insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Insecure is still the better show. Like they're not bad. They're just not as good as Insecure.
I have a bias because I was a big fan of Run the World, and Run the World was not able to continue, but Harlem was, and Run the World had a more original story to me. Harlem was just the same old. It's 4 ladies, and then all of a sudden, oh, here we go. One of them is a lesbian, but she's a big time star. It's just
Yeah.
everything was very much programmed. It just
It was
very much
formulaic.
AI, Chat GPT, just throw in a bunch of stereotypes, and here we go.
And I
Now,
think if
What
Run the
AI?
World was
Oh, no.
canceled, because if Run the World had been on a different network, we would still be watching it.
There it
well,
is.
you
And I
can't go
hate
wrong
that.
with Yvette Lee Bowser. She's the genius behind Living Single. So that's not really shocking that she knows what she's doing. It's just, I think it was just too many of those shows popping up at the same time, and none of them were giving anything new or
And they were on the wrong
fresh.
network. I fully agree with her. And then they had threw it over there to Hulu in the back of the woods. Like you couldn't even. And then they didn't even give it like the full season. You had to wait for the episodes each week. It was just really weird. Yeah.
Key Valley was supposed to come back. Honestly, y'all can keep it.
But y'all know what happened, right?
We
People,
know
They
what
stole that
happened. We
story.
don't
Don't
care.
get me riled up,
No,
Feisty.
no, I know we don't
Don't
care, but I
care.
don't get down on, I don't give them a hard time for it, because between the Nikki Gilbert lawsuit, and then they got hit with the Writers and the Screen Actors Guild boycott back to back, and everybody else had to work, so it is difficult for them to get everybody on at the same time. Like it sucks because it was on a good little stride, and now the people have lost interest. To me, it kind of is the same thing that happened to Claus. By the time Claus came back after the panorama, we stopped caring. Like I was so into Claus, but by the time they came back for that last season,
Claus was
we
cute.
all literally just lost interest. But
Yeah.
Yep.
it really isn't their fault though. Like two boycotts back to back, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, Claus
And
was at the right time.
Justice for Nikki Gilbert. I'm sorry. I know. I was told. I understand, but still, I still feel like they stole that lady's stuff. Whether y'all
Ain't
want to
no,
believe it.
they
No
definitely
offense,
stole
Trey.
it.
Every time I think of Nikki Gilbert, I think about my girl reading her doing
Here
R&B
we go.
music.
Here we go. Here we go.
You.
Here we
I'm
go.
sorry. I'm sorry.
There is
Those
a
black
special place,
black
very
gums and
special
them
place in
ashy
hell,
knees.
bitch, for a bitch like you that causes division amongst women. A very special place. You are jealous with your knock knees, black gums and all.
You're the
You know
problem,
what?
and everybody knows it.
Generational read.
Them black
Selena
gums were a
was
part of
dead
one of the
serious,
greatest
but that was
girl
such
groups
an
in
iconic
America.
moment. Selena
They
was
were in
dead.
a
You know
kind of
what?
Brownstone was an iconic group, baby. From the
Yes, they
bottom up, was
were.
one of the
Yes, they
best
were.
girl group albums ever
Yes.
made. I don't care what nobody say.
But
That's
let's not
true,
forget
but
how Brownstone broke up. Those girls hated her so much they literally gave up all rights and ownerships to the Brownstone to her. They wanted
say
nothing
what?
to do with her.
What?
They did.
I
They
didn't know
hated
that.
her. They hated Nikki.
Well, out of that hate
The
came some
originals
beautiful music. I'll give you
promised.
that much.
Nikki
And
Nikki is a problem. Like she is someone who does really well at coming up with these ideas and getting the right people behind it. And she is really good at like the production value, because for someone who has had a small budget on many occasions, she does have like a really high quality production value, all things considered. But she's a nightmare to work with. Just like she was
So
saying
she's
on her interview with Dineva last year, she was like, oh, I was interested in bringing it back, but a lot of the girls don't want to do it because they're still mad about what happened yesterday. I mean, like those years. And I was like, no, I don't think they're still actively mad at you. I think those people don't want to work with you anymore. You were throwing it up in their face every 5 minutes on some Mariah Huck stuff. You work for me.
So
The people
she's the
don't want to ever
female.
work with.
She's the
If they
female
share
Carlos King.
ownership,
Is that what you're
maybe.
trying to say?
She's Dawn Robinson from In Vogue. Everybody
Oh
can't
Oh
Lord.
stand
no,
her.
no, no, no. Nikki Gilbert's got a house. She ain't going from pillar to post.
Hi.
Dawn did that on purpose. She wanted to try RV living. She's not poor. She has an assistant.
Child, with these rent prices, the heifer might be on to something.
And you know the other thing with Nikki on Brownstone, you know the other, you know, the girl, she died, the other singer. So it's just, you know,
Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
that
Rest in
was
peace to
it's a
Maxie.
freak
I
accident.
remember when that happened. It was a freak accident.
Yeah.
They thought her husband had done it at first because she slipped in her house and fell on a wine glass and it impaled her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cut her throat. That was just
Oh my
awful.
Terrible.
God! Wow.
Like
Like it's like
crazy.
And
but
she
we
was an
can't take the voice
amazing singer.
we can't
Like
take the
one of the
voice away from Miss Gilbert though. We can't take it away. I had them on cassette to show you how old I was.
yeah. But
Um
Maxie's voice was just as good. Because one of their songs, Sometimes Dancing, is one of my favorite songs off that
yep.
album.
And then
She was a great singer.
and then the other one, the original one, I think something happened and she lost her voice. They just got kind of cursed.
Yeah. But there
Okay.
was Michael Jackson in them, so
Since we're on the topic slightly, hear me out, guys. The question was posed. They were, people were reminiscing about how good the New Edition miniseries was, and the question was posed: what musical act should they do like the next biopic or miniseries on? And I have one for the men and the women. Tell me what y'all think. I think for the men, I think it's time for either no, I said originally Jodeci, but we can't talk about Jodeci without talking about Diddy, and we already know what that gives right now currently.
Yeah.
But I said the other option would be Drew Hill, because I don't know if y'all know about Drew Hill's drama, but they got some good drama. And for
Yeah.
the women, In Vogue. In Vogue.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
been
you
waiting on the
know,
Vogue story.
when I looked at Unsung, they did when Unsung used to come on. I think they did both of them, but that would definitely be good. I guess what you call him, Cisco somewhere counting his money because Lord knows he made a bunch of it off of Drew Hill. Did
Does
anybody
anybody
listen
remember
to
when they came back together and broke up right on? They were announcing their comeback and
Yes,
broke up on the radio station,
yes, yes.
hmm
and they
Did
got to fighting in the
anybody
radio
yeah.
station.
Speaking of biopics, and you know that was a good one. Did anybody? I looked at Bobby Brown on Club Shay Shay today. He had a really good interview. It was cool. Didn't talk about Whitney. It was all about him. He was honest. Talked about the mistakes he made. Said his biggest mistake was giving my prerogative to Britney Spears without listening to it first. It was a good interview. And Bobby looks good. Now, he is looking like a smaller TD Jakes. I will admit that, but he has or a
Not
smaller
TD Jakes.
Cedric the Entertainer, but he has lost weight. Bobby looking good.
Well,
Hey,
good.
we just happy Bobby here because the amount of drugs that man used to do
Hey
I'm
and
man.
telling
how it's taking out
you.
everybody else. Like I'm
Amen.
happy he here. I'm happy he
Yes,
can perform.
and
I am
people
too.
forget
He done
that
been
stroke
through it.
he had too. That
Yep.
stroke that
Right. And he
dogs.
barely sound like he has any like leftover side effects. Baby,
Even
God looking down on him.
Did you say? Can I ask, Feisty? When you asked the two groups, was it? It wasn't Jodeci. Was it Drew Hill?
no, I
Was Drew Hill
originally
one of them?
Jodeci, because Jodeci does have some good stories to tell, but I don't think it could happen right now because of all the Diddy stuff. And he was their A&R when they were at Uptown before he left to start Bad Boy. So I
Right.
personally would like to not see their story get overshadowed with his drama. But I was like, the other option for me would be Drew Hill, because if you guys ever like watch their unsung or heard some of the stories, they have some really good stories to tell that I
I'll be
think
interested in Drew Hill,
would be
especially
great.
after
Tony Tony
JD.
Tony?
Tony sometimes would be cute. I think it wouldn't go. I'm feeling like it wouldn't hit as hard as only because they had hits, but they're not as current. Even though both of them are kind of early '90s, late 2000s groups. I just feel like Drew Hill's would still be a little bit more relevant per
See, we
se.
need the tea. This is the thing. Like,
I'm
it's
about
I
to
not
want
say,
to
that they don't
see.
have great music. we need the tea. I saw somebody say they need to make one about Escape. We have seen Escape endlessly talk
No,
about
I don't want to see no
between the
escape story.
unsung, all the reality shows, all the social media stuff. There's nothing new to
Wasn't
learn
Latasha
about
I
Escape.
want to see
on
if
with
we don't if
Nene?
we can't do
Yeah.
Jodeci, I want to see them go
Yes.
into Missy into what's his name
Timberland?
Timberland, Missy, just that whole black brown. What was it
Ooh,
called
and
with
Mr.
the
Magoo, they whole collective.
right,
Yeah.
and how Leah and all of them, the dude from Jodeci, wasn't
That
it?
would be
Yeah.
hard though,
Yeah.
because of R.
So
Kelly.
And if we
Mhm.
can't get anything like directly about them specifically, I would like to see almost like what they did about Five Heartbeats. That's kind of like loosely based
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
these stories
Mm.
or something. I'll take that too. But I
so
do think it's been a couple years. We are due for another whole like mini series or whatever about these musical acts.
So I got two
Child, I'm
suggestions
petty.
because I was gonna say I got two suggestions for me, and I'm gonna take it almost to Oscar level because I actually love black entertainment, and I'm not sure if Alice is okay with this, but there's this woman on YouTube who I've loved for years, and I'm addicted to her channel. It's called Ashley Says So, and she talks a lot about
Oh,
like
Oh yeah, I
I
love
love
Ashley.
her.
I love
yes.
Ashley.
So Ashley, so I didn't know who El DeBarge was at all because that's before my time. When I
Ooh,
saw her video, I cried so many times when she
Oh
talked
yeah,
about
the
her family.
baby, the
So
DeBarge family.
okay,
Oh,
so
but
let's
the
do this.
Barge family
the
was
My
a good
God.
part.
So
DeBarges.
if somebody was brave enough to do their story, they had to put it on HBO. They would win all the awards. And then also, my mother was in love with this man. I think most of y'all probably know this person. His name was Marvin Gaye before my time, and he
Of
of
Yes.
course
course.
and he passed
Mhm.
Of
and
course, we know Marvin Gaye.
he passed away because he had his father, situation. So if any black man currently took on the role of Marvin Gaye, he would win the Oscar. He just
Y'all
simply
ain't getting that until Barry Gordy passes away.
okay.
Yep.
Ooh.
Y'all ain't getting that.
But
Because
Marvin Gaye. So
understand the trickiness of Dreamgirls. When Dreamgirls, Dreamgirls is based off of, I think it was Mary Wilson, correct me if I'm wrong. It's loosely based around her book about her time in the Supremes. So, like, it's not like a direct retelling of it, their story, but it's loosely based around it. Barry Gordy is very okay, let me give you an example. The Five Heartbeats was originally the consulting producers on the Five Heartbeats was originally supposed to be Otis Williams, and I think one of the other members of the Temptations that was still alive at the time. And Robert Townsend was advised to change it. He changed it to the Dells, and the reason why is because they were like that big red character plus two of the Temptations on there. He's going to sue the pants off of you, Barry Gordy. He does not play that. I mean,
so
even though some of the stories are true, he does not play
well.
that. It's never going to happen while he's
So,
alive.
Okay, so for me, that's my dream would be I want to see El DeBarge family story told. I want to see Marvin Gaye, and also I again before my time I love Little Richard, so I want to see his story done again for HBO or something. So those
Oh,
would
okay.
be I would love
Hey,
like
man.
so I love
yeah,
Tina
Little
Turner.
Richard would
I
be
love
cute.
Tina Turner, so I love her movies. So I love
Well,
really high
Hey, man.
drama stories.
What you have to do is, okay, even if you don't have this channel, I think they have their shows on YouTube. There's another black channel called TV One. And for years, they have a series called Unsung.
Unsung.
Yeah, I
They've
saw.
basically done what all the shows you talked about. And I think the DeBarge was a two-parter one. And I think it
Yes.
was the highest rated.
Yes, it was.
is.
But baby, that
But you might can
Unsung is
find it on
okay, but that lady Ashley Say So, the way
Come
that
on
she went
now.
in,
Whoa, whoa,
the
whoa.
detail, because
Lord have
the
mercy.
daddy, that daddy
Mhm.
DeBarge was
Yeah, that daddy
something.
was, he was
The
So
something else.
yeah,
daddy
when I
It's
saw
a
that,
tragic
yeah,
story. It really, like, when you see their story,
Jesus
you
Christ.
absolutely understand why the family, like, don't get me wrong, we make our little comments about people who are struggling, but whenever I see El DeBarge and he looks clean and healthy, I
Right.
always smile and feel so happy, because when you understand somebody's demons and what
Right.
it takes for them to get up every day, that's another
Right.
reason. Like, after I learned all of Bobby Brown's story, I have been less critical of him, because I'm like, I know what it takes for you to get up here, and the fact that you are doing well today, even
Yeah.
for a brief period of time. I had that same feeling last week when that picture of Maya Campbell popped up on the internet, and she looked so
Oh,
Yeah,
that
she
was
looked
beautiful.
so
good.
good. It was so
Mm-hmm.
good to
Because
see
again, when
her.
you know somebody's demons, when you know what struggles they have, like, it's one thing to judge when we don't know, but when
Yeah.
we know, I
Right.
applaud. Even if you are clean and sober for a week, that is a week that you could have chosen to not be.
Yeah.
and
So
I
I'll
know
say,
it's
I love
and
I love
on that
learning.
note,
Yeah.
y'all,
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna have to close out. But I'm glad we
Okay.
got to it on a high note. I want to thank everybody for joining. This was a fabulous panel, and I will see y'all soon.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Alex.
Bye.